as of now, no, like at the recording of this video, parang ang naiisip kong what we can provide is like an opinion from the side of the OT or an occupational therapist, since we do work with children. So, how do you like interact with kids in the clinic, Anika? Yeah, anong style mo when you interact with children in the clinic?
It depends on the client I'm working with, so they can be very different. Some kids need assistance, possibly in wanting to participate or developing skills that they can use to participate, and some kids might need more targeted guidance in focusing in learning how to gain self-regulation skills. So we have children who are very different and they have very different needs. So I'm not authoritarian. Perhaps I would be more authoritative, just in the sense that I oversee the activities. I plan activities in my head and on paper, but I still make sure that if I implement them, it's what the child needs for that moment in the session. If I see in that session that, I initially thought, okay, maybe like a coloring activity that is guided and structured will be helpful. But if the child comes to me, that's not what he needs, of course, I won't push it. So if he needs instead, more active play, or he's showing me a desire to do something else that is totally different from what we planned, I will work with that. I'll make sure to just do my best with that activity and guide him through it in a way that still benefits him and is facilitative and helpful and therapeutic as well. So, yeah, I don't insist on what I've thought of. I think of them as possible plans, but they're very fluid because I want to go with what the child currently needs. And that's always changing. Even for us as adults, we might have thought that I eat in Starbucks today or Jollibee today, but when we're actually there, our needs change. Like as therapists, of course, we have to come in prepared for our sessions, right? Based on our goals, we make plans. But these are just plans. And when you and your child meet in the clinic or in your session, it could be totally different from what you had envisioned or what you had planned. So you have to go with the flow and just make sure that what you'll choose now is going to be the best for your current needs. Of course, with a goal in mind. So like the goal is always overarching, but how you interact is on a moment to moment basis based on what the child needs. And I guess you need understanding and empathy to perceive that and react, hopefully in the best and most correct way possible.
I understand what you mean, no, na as OTs or as therapists, we do tend to fall more on the authoritative, kasi we do need to target like specific skills or goals when in therapy. So we still have that level of authority when we interact with the children. But at the same time, we're also like flexible and mindful about it. Nag-change siya based doon sa current context and needs ng child pagdating niya sa'yo. Like sometimes, hindi niya feel to do the specific activity, so you have to like try to gauge what activity can I give na fit doon sa mood ngayon, but at the same time, nata-target pa rin yung goals or yung mga skills that we need. Is being prepared with a plan, but at the same time, parang it's not totally na kailangan ikaw yung masunod. Yeah, so parang gentle parenting nga. So like trying to be empathetic and understanding about their current state, and then setting boundaries na up to what extent am I going to adjust?
Yeah.
And up to what extent are you expected to adjust to me so that you learn how to, interact with me better?
Yeah, that's true. I think, like for example, when we're talking about flexibility and foregoing the plans that we had made, it really depends on the reason on why the child might need that. For example, like in the video you showed, the mom could have just left the child. Okay, you want to go there? Okay, let's go there because that's what you want. But she understood that it was, the child needed to also follow at the time and learn how to work with others and work with the rules around him. And as long as they're reasonable rules, they can be employed. So, like for us, when we are OTs, some kids would just want to escape tasks just because they don't want to do them or just because they don't want to follow. So we also have to gauge how much of that is needed really in the real world. Like, does the child need to follow? Is it going to be beneficial for him? And if it is, then we have to be also firm with our choices. We just have to make sure that we understand why the child is doing something. Why does he want this? Will doing this be helpful for him? If I adjust to him, will it lead to positive outcomes or will it make it worse for him eventually? So we have to perceive that as well. And our boundaries have to apply. So sometimes we'll be flexible and follow their lead. Sometimes we need them following our lead. So I think it's a give and take relationship as well in the clinic and in real life.
Negative behaviors, definitely nakakainis siya. But the best way to approach a child would be to replace that with another behavior that's better para mas concrete siya na hindi lang siya magsistop from that certain behavior, but rather it's replaced by something good. But now we're also emphasizing that the best approach to interacting with a child is not just adjusting to them all the time. So dito papasok yung nasabi na natin na may boundaries pa din. Na up to a certain extent, we try to understand them. Parang we really try to be mindful and understand the big picture. But at the same time, we don't just allow them na tayo lagi yung nag-a-adjust. Para siyang yung difference na nasigawan ka na, edi aralin mo, but you don't know how to, versus yung, okay, let's learn it together. I'll show you how. Then it's definitely easier to understand and to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, I think understanding each other reciprocally, it plays a part. So you were mentioning a while ago that we want to teach them more positive, more facilitative and helpful skills instead of just saying, no, don't do this. We want to bring them over to a more helpful side. And to do that, I think the bridge is like to facilitate understanding. Of course, how we do that, how we explain to the child will differ in terms of their age. But ultimately, they have to understand also, why do I have to do this and not this? Why is this going to be helpful? Yeah, we have to make them realize or understand if this is going to be beneficial for me instead of, just displaying this behavior. So they understand our perspective while we are trying to understand them. And also we can learn from them, through interacting with them, through talking to them. We learn more about their needs as well. So the mom didn't automatically know her child wanted water. It came through a process. You both work together on sharing your ideas, sharing your thoughts, sharing your understanding.
So siya, two-way street siya. So technically, it's a communication or communicative parenting style rather than a rule-based parenting style.
Yeah.
Nang nakukuha ko sa kanya.
Communication is very important, not just, for adults like us, but also when we're working with people different ages. So the way for them, or communication becomes a tool to learn. How will we learn about the world if we don't communicate and share symbols? So it doesn't have to always be verbal or, explaining through a lot of words, but we can communicate through different ways, like through hugs, like what the mom showed, that sends communication as well.
Maganda actually yung style, but you really have to understand how to use it and actually develop the skill. Because even even us as therapists, we do find it difficult and infuriating as well kapag makulit yung child or hindi siya nakikinig. It takes practice to develop being mindful, being understanding of the child's behaviors. And then it's also a skill to know how to respond to it in a mindful, gentle manner rather than just screaming or getting mad.
It takes a lot of perspective. Like, first of all, like you have to know what works for you when you have those emotions or display those behaviors. Why do you display them and what helps you? It really requires perspective and just trying to build understanding. And that's not going to be perfect, of course, because we only know ourselves. We don't even know ourselves fully all the time. So it's an ongoing learning process of how to respond to ourselves and to others also.
Well, some would know how to learn it on their own. They would be able to practice it. But a lot of people also find it difficult to learn it on their own. So I guess reaching out maybe to someone who knows about it could also help. So like us as OTs, we could also, help families to be more mindful and be more gentle in their communication with each other.
Well, I've heard that how we parent, how we interact is a learned behavior. We learned it from how people interacted with us growing up, and we carry that now and we pass it on if we're not aware. That's how we interact with others too. So it becomes a shared pattern and it passes down from our experiences. But of course, you can change that. It takes practice. So if it's not your current style, or if it's not your initial reaction, to be patient. Of course, that it's not like skill of everyone, or it takes work to be patient. It takes work to understand and like set aside your own emotions. It really is something that therapists and parents need to constantly want to do, constantly want to try and work on. Yeah, it really takes work and a choice to want to be that way, be positive for the child. Yeah.
I guess you or people watching this video is actually one of the first steps to moving towards a better parenting or therapy style. Like just getting information and learning about it first actually helps already. When we know what we want to do, it's, parang halfway through ka na. Knowing what you're supposed to do, then the rest of the effort goes into actually trying, or the trial and error of learning the skill. Anika, any final thoughts as we end this discussion or video?
I think this video was circulating online or was gaining attention, maybe because it wasn't a dominant style or super talked about before. I think a lot of us emphasize, training a child or making them grow to have good physical skills and cognitive skills. But the social emotional skills, maybe not everyone has emphasized, or it hasn't been emphasized perhaps equally as the other domains. This parenting style, I think, really does that. It can really guide the child in this way, or this style of interaction really focuses on that. And it's going to be really helpful to create a more humane, a more positive, um, love filled society, which we need. I think it's time to, experience that and work on that and emphasize it just as equally as all the other things we emphasize for children. So I think that's why I like this video. And I like that it's being talked about now because of that aspect. And yeah, we deserve to treat each other with kindness and empathy and understanding. And yeah, I hope more people or more of us, we always try to continuously work on it, and develop it in ourselves as well. So even us as OTs, you know, we have more room to master this, or to do this better, to perform it better. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Anika. Yeah, thank you so much. Even though gentle parenting is not OT and OT is not gentle parenting, both are striving to make a society that's filled with more humane humans that are not afraid to show their thoughts or emotions. Yung hindi siya destructive to self, hindi siya destructive to others. Like, it shows that you're not only thinking of yourself, but you're also thinking of others. And those were our thoughts and discussions on the matter. Kung saan na tayo napuntang topics. But
Let's go editing skills.
but it was a very fun discussion. For me, it was enlightening. Yeah. That's it for our video today. And please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And if you have any thoughts, well, about the topic, then please leave a comment below, and Anika and I will, of course, be open to discussing with you. So that's it. Thank you.